Hello everyone, welcome to a new video update. Let's start with BTC. As you know, this is my main chart. This is a general view of what we've been discussing for quite some time, how the structure, the development, all the divergences at the bottom before around the all-time high pretty much are the same, even with this bullish divergence, this slight invalidation of the potential variance divergence. You could say it's an extended divergence when the indicator here is flat or price is flat. So everything is going well. This bullish divergence seems to be playing out. We are not out of the woods yet. As I said, we need for a real leg to happen. We need to cross the MA. Like so far in the daily, we are still in no man's land, but cycle wise, in times of cycle low, the window is around 60 days. So this is the bottom and this is the cycle bottom, right? Like let's say the local bottom, and then we have the first daily cycle, which is normally around between 55-60 days, I think it is. And yeah, we found the local bottom after the initial rejection here with the bullish divergence, the reaction around previous all-time high, all good, all expected, nothing unusual. And so far we could say this was around day 52, more or less, 53, 54 if you will measure it from here. Yes, it's in line with this, but we need to cross the MA to say, okay, to confirm we are back. We might chop a little bit until we reclaim 106.5, you know, is the key. We won't be really back. We can still chop around. In terms of levels, we can perfectly see how 102.5 was respected, which is good. Otherwise, we open the door to potentially filling this candle. Even though we have some wicks here around 100K that offer some support, but it is just wicks. Right, so the close is above 102. That's why I think that level is key. So for now, BTC is still bracketing here. Again, reclaim 106.5, and we are good to go. Nothing wrong with that, but no confirmation yet that we are back. I want to show you a pattern that I have spotted has been forming in this leg up. Right, this is like a pennant, right? A bullish pennant. The same structure happens the other way around, like bearish pennant. So we have the flagpole and then the pennant. The pennant, I spotted this. We can say the flagpole can be like straight up, just with a little bit chop. But the key here is this, right? How price is compressing, and we've been climbing. So that's why this is a bullish structure that normally resolves to the upside. Again, structurally speaking, we don't want to lose 100.125. I think this should resolve to the upside soon. We take a look at the 4-hour. We can see, as I spotted, I mentioned several times, explained yesterday again, that the trends, that changes, the change in the trend is already in place, and price normally takes time to reflect it. I explained yesterday, it's not, I didn't just choose it here randomly. I could have thought it was here or here, but again, this is the trend, the last one. Price still had to reflect this bearish development, right? It was here when it finally reflected it, which RSI ends up in like this price reflecting and finding its bottom. It's here, which is the same level pretty much as we found the local bottom here in April. The previous one here in May, which was around 93 before exploding back up. Right, so this is not random. And the fact that the 4-hour hasn't just crossed the MA bearishly, right? Not even a fake out, like for 1, 2, let's say 3, 4 times. This is a reversal, in my opinion. Right, pretty much like here, it chopped around, but the trend was up. Then we reached overheated area. This is just a 4-hour. I mean, it's very just a matter of days, but again, it's applicable to any time frame. Overheated, next push, but with weakness, We found a bottom. We don't know if the price will retrace much or not, but it was clear, as I said, that this was an obvious uptrend. No low is broken since the bottom. Pretty normal price action to me. If this uptrend continues in the 4-hour, we might finally see the bullish cross here. The good thing is this cool off has allowed the MA to come back down. So it's, let's say, easier to break above it. The last time we did was when the reversal started. So this is perfectly the end of the daily cycle. Perhaps this is the cycle bottom we were looking for. Stock RSI supports that idea. In fact, it is as reset as the bottom or confluence. So all good, right? If we take a look at BTC from the 200 moving average perspective, I said that the 4-hour was holding, and it's not surprising that it has pretty much bounced off this trend. It was just a retest. In fact, if you think about it, after the chop around 84, which was the reclaim and consolidation to regain strength, we haven't revisited. So we've been pumping for more like a month and a half without revisiting, and I think it's healthy it revisited, because as we did here, the moment we stay very far from it for quite some time, this was from November to mid-December, the next time we get there, it could be exhausted, right? There wasn't any rest in between, pretty much. It was here with a little bit chop until we finally broke above with strength. So as long as it holds, all good. Obviously, the daily is completely safe for now, way above. We expect that. We would argue that we are around this area, even though it's a little bit higher, but the structure is pretty much similar. Here it was even more vertical, but again, I think we're still far from the end. This is the first daily cycle. Weekly cycle-wise, I think it's the 10th week, something like that. You know, weekly cycles normally are around 24. The last one was around 13. That's why it's a bit confusing, this one. But we'll see and adapt, right? We take a look at total 3 from the structure perspective. I pointed out this potential inverse head and shoulder. So far so good, respecting the 840, which is an important level, both Fibonacci wise, price wise, structure wise. It's very important. Even the 200 daily, I think it's around this area too. So far so good. If we see this later on, we would say it was obvious, right? But again, when you go through it, it doesn't look obvious. The same way you are doubting now, the same way you won't be doubting at the top. Please remember that. And in hindsight, if the price rolls over and you see the worst weakness, you would tell yourself, okay, man, the signs were there. Everyone has access to the same data. The thing is how you interpret it, how you control your emotions, how you analyze it. But we all have the same data. Ask yourself, why do people have very different takes with the same set of data and charts? Ask yourself, where's the difference? Mostly emotions. So the good thing is the total 3 is getting ready to push, mostly supported by the BTC dominance drop. You can see it works together, it works in conjunction, it's perfect confluence, right? When you know where to look at, you know how all pieces fall in place. If we take a look at the 200, I spotted this, well, I highlighted this area, which was the accumulation before the Q4 run. And all we've done here so far, an attempt to reclaim, but holding key structure. That's why we combine all oscillators, all the charts, everything we have, not just one, because in this case you would be scared because of this rejection, but we were holding key structure, which was 2024 top, right? And so far, an attempt to hold this, it was early, but we held the lower band, and it's good as long as we hold the whole structure. To fully run, as you know, we have to reclaim both, like the whole trend, to push with strength, right? If we take a look at the 4-hour, we can see total 3 lost it, right? You can see here in in this small push here in May, how it reclaimed it and pushed back until it didn't reclaim, it was all chop. So temporarily we lost it. We are fighting to very soon fighting to reclaim it. This is key, in my opinion. If this is just a fake out, if there is really a strength building, this shouldn't take long to reclaim. It's not my impatient bull speaking and trying to justify that I want everything to move now. I mean, if this is really a move building, it shouldn't take long. The same for BTC weekly wise. It shouldn't. If this is just a daily cycle, a weekly cycle is still alive, the next daily cycle shouldn't take long. It should be already on its way, right? Because we lose momentum otherwise, and it means we keep chopping, and this is not the time yet. So we need to reclaim fast. The same here in April. We tried, we got rejected, but we didn't take long. It was 16th April, and 5 days later it was reclaimed, and up we go, right? So the trend is reclaimed. We need something like that. Previously, again, we saw some chop, lost it, but tried again, lost it, but tried again. It didn't take long, right? If the leg is ready, or close to be, it shouldn't take long. So we reclaim the 4 hour, we climb back, which will probably coincide with reclaiming the 200, and total 3 is ready to go. And let me just go back to total 3 here. From a weekly perspective, this would be just a retest. Yes, you can see this roll over, but again, don't get distracted by this. We could just roll back up, and stock RSI is dependent on RSI. And RSI, see, this is just bouncing, pretty much like a front run retest, something like that, while holding key Fibonacci level. All good. This is very similar to this. Could be chop a little bit longer. I'm not sure. I think BTC shouldn't chop for too long around these levels, right? Because it opens the door to rolling over. We take a look at I think we were checking others. Others is fighting on the daily to reclaim the trend. Again, this should be just a fake out. If we are back, if we are strong, we should go back soon. Same thing with total 3. 4 hour. Again, fighting to reclaim it soon. Just a fake out. We'll see. Works. There's some work to do. All that reclaim coincides with this structural. This is the range, the upper range of this cycle. And this kind of mid-range, it's fighting to reclaim it. Again, very close to the EMA. If we get rejected, it means we probably revisit the lows. The same for total 3. And the same for BTC. So we don't want to see that. We need a break above to say we're finally back, right? And now our dear friend BTC dominance. This guy, man, resists, but all I see for now, it's unable to make a high high. Yes, you can argue that this structure has been printing higher highs, higher lows, but what I see is pretty much flat RSI on the daily, while here keeps pushing a little bit up. I saw this, I posted yesterday, these wicks didn't look that good. Here with the stock RSI overheated. If we were climbing, I would thought that this is just a retest and up we go. But I saw different pushes here, tries, attempts with weakness, and stock RSI overheated. He tried, it reset, tried again, couldn't really break. Down we go. Again, for now, it looks like the bounce from very oversold levels. And if we open the 4 hour, I pointed out that these was a very divergence. And bulls want this very divergence to play. And it said it needs to break the EMA. And it did. I posted at 64.20 something. And it broke to the downside. Right? So this is the first step to confirm that this is just a fake out, that the market is not buying this. And we have the cross, the bearish cross on the daily, and that's why these candles are getting like a strong continuation, right? And we need to close below 63.70 at first, even though there are some wicks, close below this, because we haven't. Then we attack the area and eventually go back to the 63.20, right? And 62, slowly but steadily. If we take a look at the weekly, we can see what I said, this could be a fake out the same way it was in Q4 with a retest and a rollover here. Everything's still going according to plan. This is a lower high, while BTC, as I said, I think it's relevant. BTC dominance made can't make a higher high here, right? While BTC did. So BTC keeps pushing, but BTC dominance can't. And I think it's relevant. And in the volume and the candle video I posted recently, I showed that I found it interesting that BTC dominance, if we can apply volume to this, has been pushing up with volume coming down. And at the same time, I showed how total 3, let me just open this, total 3, yeah, how volume was coming down with volume coming down as well. So this downtrend wasn't really supported by big spikes in volume. And in general, volume has been catching up compared to previous runs. Right when BTC dominance volume is going down in this push since Q4. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that rhyming with Ethereum catching up, Ethereum BTC finding its bottom? Perhaps in hindsight we could say that this was really a great accumulation period for altcoins, and most people didn't see that because they get stuck in low time frame. Let's keep analyzing the charts. BTC dominance from the 4-hour perspective. I said this could be a fake out, but it kept pushing. But as I've shown, this was a bearish divergence, right? I just saw that. And this bearish divergence is playing out, and now it's toying with losing the EMA again. This is chopped to the upside, but unable to break. So the 4-hour can be lost again. Interesting. From the 1-day perspective, still, as I said, very far from the 200, which is mandatory in my opinion, data-wise. We haven't lost it this cycle, just a fake out in Q4. And the last old season had risk catch-up moves, and the real old season below the 200. So, as I said, this weekly cycle, even though it's in week 10th, something like that, BTC should push again to new all-time highs, again 120, 134, which is the next Fibonacci, as I said many times. So I don't see BTC dominance losing that in this weekly cycle. Perhaps we get here again, and a potential fake out, correction into summer, Q4 finally rolls over. And what we have now is lower high, lower low. Compared to this, we break this structure, lower high again, and we finally break into Q4, right? Something like that. Even if in summer it goes up a little bit, but the structure is bearish. We don't make a higher high like we did here. We'll see. But for now, so far so good. I think also altcoins are ready to catch up. We'll see how long it takes. USDT. This is the 200. This is my main chart. It's convoluted, much data here, but the thing is the 200. I said we could retest it again like we did here. So far, it didn't even get to the upper bound. It's fighting to hold the lower bound, which is around 464. It should lose it to finally test these 373 hopefully again. From the daily perspective here with the chart, the main chart, which by the way, I don't know why these divergences keep disappearing. So this was the bottom for the two last local bottom, summer and April, and we had this hidden bearish divergence that I said was continuation. pretty similar to BTC dominance in the sense that we had rejection candles here, wicks, when the stock RSI was overheated. Sorry, various divergence, and the rejection is in progress. Excuse me. So we need to break the MA to confirm that this is just this bullish divergence here is already playing out, but there is weakness, and we roll over. This various divergence is stronger because the entire high time frame is bearish, and we finally break here, which would surely coincide with BTC pushing to all-time high. Yeah, very, very likely. We need that. This is the daily chart. So remember, we've been going down for 4 days, 5 days. That's why people think that perhaps nothing is moving, because we haven't had any significant move. But I think it's in the good way. Finally, I want to take a look at Ethereum, and something I want you to be aware of, because in the coming months, perhaps you have already seen that, you will see many different type of calls. And I posted this in March. I have no Ethereum at all, right? But I had this conversation with Bogdi. I pointed out that I have been seeing Ethereum BTC bottom calls for more than a year now. This was March. And all those people calling for bottoms, I'm not criticizing them. I'm using them as data. All of them wanted Ethereum to go push, to go back up, to push. They had positions, they had longs, and all of them were choosing different timeframes, different perspectives, different indicators, constantly looking for new ones to fit their bias. And all I saw was that BTC dominance could be a better indicator for Ethereum BTC, just because data showed that. And I have another post here that if there is a play here, I posted in March, that Ethereum BTC looks terrible, especially from the monthly perspective, right? I posted it here. Monthly perspective was tremendously bearish, terrible. And I said that this level could be one to provide some relief because of this, but it's not a very strong one because there was just a couple of weeks, right? So I mentioned these. If there is an area to find support on the high time frame, was this one. RSI was hinting that, getting very oversold levels here, the same way it did back here in 2020, and perhaps a bullish divergence or something like that. And remember this, because this is what has happened. The oversold levels I pointed out, no divergences, because it really bounced up with strength. And the difference with the previous bounces is it didn't roll over immediately. In fact, it corrected, but it kept pushing. This is a high time frame reversal for me. Why I expected here? Because that was the only high time frame real support we had. This was no man's land. RSI wise, no man's land, until we find like exceptional oversold levels like it did here. It's not a coincidence. And I said it could coincide, as I showed here, with BTC showing weakness. Let's see. Let's overlay BTC here, dominance. And what we find is the bottom here is the current top of BTC dominance. The top that hasn't been unable to break again. This was May 5. Okay, 5th of May. 25 April. It had found the bottom. Yeah, 5th of May. BTC dominant retraces, unable to break them, and this is the bounce from Ethereum BTC. So perhaps as we saw here, even though BTC dominant keeps chopping, the top is already in, not even in this final push here in January before the real. Let's see, so the top, as you can see here, for BTC dominance was here. When Ethereum found its bottom, retested, yeah, but BTC dominance unable to break. And I said it's very relevant, in my opinion, that BTC keeps making higher highs while BTC dominance isn't able to do that. And yes, what if this is the top for BTC dominance? It's the same place where it topped last cycle with Ethereum BTC bouncing, and Ethereum has been outperformance ever since. Bitcoin ever since. All eyes are on BTC, on inflows, but remember the big play is happening in the shadows where no one is looking at. Remember the gold BTC chart? You remember that if you've been here for a while. I'm gonna remove this. Sentiment is dead, blah blah blah, but this is the reversal building for Ethereum, for BTC against gold. And what happened? Pico top for gold, Pico bottom for BTC. And I recently posted, what if gold now here is showing that it's time for BTC to move again? So far, gold is retracing against BTC and it started to roll over. I posted it yesterday, I think, or the day before, to continue the downtrend. Again, I think everything is lining up very well for altcoins, and this could be the moment for them to outperform. The 200 says that, the structure says that, Ethereum BTC says that. BTC dominance is faking people out, in my opinion. Volume is very telling. RSI, as I explained in my volume video, has been noticing that this looks suspicious. Stock RSI has been rolling over ever since. This is the weekly, ever since the top. This could be the run, the final run until the next bottom here. How far low? I still think 61, 60, something like that. We bounce again from here, make a lower high, and then perhaps Q4 we'll talk about all season. In a huge surprising move, 0.6 Fibonacci, and that would be insane in my opinion for altcoins if that something like that happens. In that case, I think RSI would really sink, and yeah, I think that's too much. I'm not counting on that, but I'm not gonna bet against the market. The market isn't right or wrong. It's your emotions and your needs. It doesn't care about your needs, but your hopes or desires. So adapt, right? Again, the example of Ethereum BTC bottom calls and the Ethereum bottom calls for a whole year, the same way many people said Ethereum was dead. None of them was based on let's say objective data. It was about looking data that convinced my buyers. Small bull flags or whatever in the 4 hour, in the daily, but you can see the chart. Sorry. You can see the chart was clear about Ethereum BTC. Let me just open the weekly. This was the place. And if we take a look at the 200 moving averages, you know, I said, if I can type correctly, that's still work to do, but we are in a good way. Again, when BTC dominance, let me just compare it from this perspective again. BTC dominant topped here. Look at the place it topped for now. Look at the place it topped here. Seriously, this is pretty much the same. I mean, all we need is just open a chart and look for objective data, not just open a chart and look for and discard everything that doesn't fit our bias, and we keep searching for something that does, and when that doesn't help us anymore, we just look for another indicator, something we have never used. You can't keep a good track of or any progress if you keep switching and jumping from one indicator to another, from one account to another that tells you what you want to hear. Seriously, that's a trap. You might think that's great, but it's a trap. And you can see here how BTC dominance war was making lower highs, lower lows, and Ethereum BTC higher highs, higher lows. Bottom formation looks like top formation, higher lows for now, lower highs for now. We have said, and I still maintain that this was the top of BTC dominance, 65, whatever it was. And I have many charts to support that. How long will it take to fully reflect on altcoins? I don't care. I don't care. I just want to be well positioned for when the time comes. Period. That's it. The biggest moves happen when everything looks boring. You position when everything looks boring. Right? Let me just take a quick look at some altcoins, because some people have asked that, and I'm gonna show them to prove where everything is going. I said, by the way, with VELO, that they look very much like October 33. That's all I wanted to. That's all I said. And why I say that? Because of the bottom formation here, like the high-low, getting ready to attack the 200 here. No one was paying attention to VELO. No one did. When it was going up, everyone started asking what's going on here, right? And this Adam and Eve pattern that I posted months ago, last year, was my entry for VELO. I think this chart looked really good for continuation. We are doing pretty much the same now. Getting close. Yeah, you see boring, chop. You get tired here, but you don't know what you're looking at if you get tired. And in the 4 hour, look at this. Look at this. Please, look at this and tell me this slow reclaim has nothing to do with this. Nothing. It doesn't look like this. Please tell me it doesn't. This slow reclaim. No one pays attention to. Then all of a sudden, I'm not saying this has to repeat, of course, but it reclaims and eventually 11x from October to May 24. Right? Here, the reclaim was even more violent. Like, perhaps that's why this Q4 leg was smaller. The same for Total 3 and others. I have already shown that. But here, slowly, it's being reclaimed, trying to reclaim for 15 days. Then the daily will come. And perhaps it's just about 15, 14. Right? Because if I go back to the daily, you can see, yeah, it's a little bit higher. 15, 17, yeah, not much, right? Apparently. But this might take longer. But I think the situation looks really good. And this coin has been making high highs and high lows. So all good. Doge, I think it was Christian who asked me about it. It couldn't hold the lower band, but it's making high lows. And structurally speaking, this was the various divergence of the 15, which was the key to shift the trend. 4 hour, again, lost it temporarily, but it's fighting to get it back soon. Nothing to worry about, nothing we haven't seen yet. Again, look at how boring it was from January, early January to late February, like almost 2 months. Boring. And then all of a sudden you have a 150 from like 28th February, in a week. All of a sudden, where was that, right? Where was that move? Here, in the boring phase, where no one is looking at. It was like here. So I think everything is looking good. We just need more time and let everything develop, reclaim key levels, especially BTC. We need the daily RSIMA cross. We are not out of the woods. We need USDT also to confirm the various cross. And then we could start talking about new all-time highs. But everything is shaping correctly. We just need more time. Please remember that less than 2 months ago, BTC was at 74K. Please think about that, because it's something we tend to forget because we spend much time here. So perhaps when the market breaks all-time high, I will update again to see what's next and where we could stop. But for now, relax and take care.